Good morning, everyone. My name is Marcus Hallberg. I'm the Campus Recreation Coordinator here. This is my first year as Campus Recreation Coordinator. And today's session is about SchoolsBuddy. We try to help educate our community about it. SchoolsBuddy is a one-stop shop for registration, sign-ups, and payments. It's a new system that we're using, and it's a really quality program, but with change and transition, there's some bumps along the way. And the aim today is to help educate you guys about it and help and maybe challenge you to be advocates for the program as we continue to grow. So I appreciate you guys coming today. This is what we hope to get covered in the next 40 minutes-ish, the agenda. And really I'm going to take you through the difference between a preference-based container, an instant book and pay container, how the sign-up system works, how the different sign-up systems work, how to amend choices that you're in so that you're not fearful of losing your spot in a certain activity, and then also going through how to pay, and then some important dates and feedback as well. I'll try to answer questions near the end, if that's okay. I'll try to go through the entire program first, or the presentation, and then at the very end I have a feedback form that's actually available for you guys to give feedback about the after-school activity program, some of the strengths, some of the areas for improvements, and things like that. Okay. All right, let's start at the very beginning. How many of you are familiar with online SchoolsBuddy? Pretty confident with the program? Okay. So I apologize in advance if some of this stuff is a bit redundant or simple. We had a lot of feedback that it was really difficult to sign in. So there's two parts to this. One, your ASD username is your family account. And then the second part was the password. Okay? And a lot of people were using a password that didn't have special characters or numbers. So they would enter Falcons1, and then it would say denied. Okay? And the password has to have a special character. And there's instructions that will follow underneath. If you enter the wrong password, it'll tell you to do so. Okay? You can access it on your phone as well. And it's just schoolsbuddy.net. It'll bring you right to the login page. Okay. So there's two different types of containers, and I think we did a poor job educating our community before we rolled this out, to be honest. And I was like a week into the job. We had just launched SchoolsBuddy. The old campus recreation coordinator purchased SchoolsBuddy. So the community was kind of like shocked by like, what is this whole program? And if we could have done it again, this would have been really important session to have before we launched this great program. And I think as we continue to grow, that was basically phase 1. So we're hoping phase 2 and phase 3 and phase 4 get to be a better asset to our community. So when we create containers, there's really two options, and both of them have different strengths. The first one is an instant book and pay. And we choose to use this container for basically anything where fees apply. So all of our outsourced providers. And the simple way to think about it is like booking a flight. So when you go online, you reserve your seat, you book, you pay, you fly. Okay? So as soon as you book your seat, that ensures that you get that spot on that flight. It's very similar to our activity. So anything that requires money, ASD is choosing to go this way because we want to make sure that those parents who are paying for a service get in that particular activity. So this is all of our outsourced providers, anything that requires fees. Okay. Pay for programs and our Learn to Swim options as well. Okay. The second container option is a preference-based. This is an awesome system. Okay. A preference-based system is not first come, first serve. It basically is a fair lottery model system. So it runs an algorithm. You choose choices per week, and it calculates, it's a filter. So it's essentially a filter. So I'll take you through the different examples in preference-based, and I'll actually show you how preference-based work. Okay. We're using preference-based for our internal programs, or ASRPs, or after-school rec programs. And the reason why we're choosing to use it because it's fair and it's a relaxed process. One of the aims with preference-based model is to transform competition into appreciation of opportunity. And I'll give you a couple different examples of how that worked in season 1. So I kind of mentioned this. The instant book and pay is used for paid programs and our Learn to Swim. Okay. So here's how it works. Essentially, I'll take you through a model. You book, you pay, and then once capacity is filled, it's full. Okay. So when you're going through, I'll show you an example. As soon as it reaches capacity, it'll say full on SchoolsBuddy. That means there's no more space in that particular activity, just like when you fly. Okay. Here's why we use it. I kind of mentioned it secures the option, it secures the place in the activity. So it secures your seat on the flight. I'm using that analogy quite a lot. And then it ensures that 100% of collections have been made. Believe it or not, a lot of the times that we were trying to collect fees in ASD, it wasn't happening even until now. Some people have outstanding fees that are still trying to be covered. So this way, 100% of the collections have been made before that person is in the activity. Okay, book, pay, you're in. It's pretty simple. I had one parent that came to me and said, basically, if you don't pay, you don't play. I'm like, you know what? Actually, that's pretty accurate. If you don't buy the movie to the ticket, you can't go in. And so that's going to be a new adjustment for our community. And I think your providers have been educated enough to know that if you haven't paid for a paid program, you're not going to be on their attendance roster. And they're going to kindly, respectfully say, you have to register first and pay for this before you can attend this session. Well, I'll register next week. This is what happens sometimes. We can't do that because if you're attending a session and then register the following week, it prorates the rate that you book at. So let's say a season's 10 weeks long, okay, and you want to start on the first week of the year. And you come the second or third week and book, you're only going to pay for 8 sessions instead of 10. Okay? But the provider has let you in the class for the first 2 weeks. So I've told the providers pretty clear, if you accept a family into your session that has not paid or that is not on your attendance roster, basically that's on you. You've just taken a session for free. Okay? We're not going to have the ability to come back to the family and say, hey, you need to pay for the first 2 sessions, because the system doesn't work like that. So they just gave you guys a free 2 sessions, essentially. Okay. All right, so let's go through some different examples. I think it'll be really beneficial to kind of see some of this in action, and hopefully my computer doesn't fall again. So here's our registration page. I'm using my personal account where I have my K2 niece and nephew in. So I use them quite a lot for different examples, and I try to run through it so I can see what it looks like to parents as well. Username and password. And I'll show you from 2 different angles, from a computer platform as well as from an iOS, a phone, because a lot of people look from a phone as well. Okay. So here's our home screen. And it's very compatible, so it's quite nice when we look at it, both options. I'll start with the computer version so you can see a bit better, and then I'll take you through phone option. So this is your calendar or diary. All your activities that you register for will pop up here. It is compatible with Google. You can import your calendar into Google if you want. And your message center will have different messages from us or your providers that if a class is canceled or something like this, you'll have messages here that pop up. Activities and Clubs tab is where you register from. These are all different containers, okay? And some of these are going to be leaving. I just created some test account to show you guys today and in the future as we go. So the first example is going to be instant book and pay. So this is a test container here. And when we create a container, we set filters so that you're only seeing the activities that are available for your kids, not the entire school, which is quite nice. Okay. So this is, you probably won't see this many activities, but I've registered Eddie and Ava in almost all of them so I can see what they look like. If you're overwhelmed, because it can be a bit cumbersome to see a long list like this, and let's say you want to simply book a tennis lesson, there's a nice sort feature here by group. Okay. By group, I want to select tennis for my kid, and here's the activities that pop up for tennis. Okay. So there's a couple little things that are beneficial. This information button will tell you how many sessions that you're paying for. Okay. And it'll tell you the day and time that you're booking the lesson or the session, okay? As well as maybe some information about the program, if it's in there, and how many seats are available in that particular program. There's 4. If we book, I've put 1 dirham on this, it'll go down to 3, okay? And once capacity reaches, then it's full. Okay. So, you'll see here, in this particular example, learn to swim. Capacity has been reached, it'll read full. Okay. From a mobile phone, it looks a little bit different. You can look here. So this is iOS, this is kind of what it looks like here. We can go back, and then I'll take you through a process of actually booking an activity, so see what it reads for you guys. All right. So we want book and pay. The list will be very long on your phone, so I recommend using that sort feature with groups before you go through and book. Okay. So for example, let's go to, there's one other thing I wanted to show you guys. I think it's a bit easier to see from a computer version. If it's just one date over here and the date's not closed off, then it's an individual session. So let's say that you want to book 1 tennis lesson or 1 music lesson. If it's not closed off, you're just booking 1. Okay. If there's a range, then I would double check, and it'll calculate the prices as well per session over here. So that's kind of important to know. Most of the providers have chose to use a block booking method, so you're paying for 10 sessions. I'm trying to encourage them to lower that. So they're right now, most of them are offering either 1 or 10. Not 3 or 5 or 7, and I'm trying to diversify some of the options to give more flexibility to our community. You can understand from a provider standpoint, they want 10 because they want a committed family, and they're telling me that most families actually, they want to book for the entire season, once a week, the same time, and then they go. Okay. The negative thing with that is the payment up front. So on January 6th, let's say you want music, you book 10 sessions of music, pay for 10 sessions of music on January 6th. Well, 10 times 270 dirhams is quite a lot, 2,000 some, okay? So the families are gonna be dishing out a little bit of money up front, but then on the back end, they'll know that all of their sessions have been paid, and once they've paid, they're more committed to attend those sessions. So let's take you through an example of how to book and pay. We'll select tennis, okay. And I'm gonna untick this. You can untick if you don't want to be in the activity, but let's say that I want to put Ava and Eddie in tennis, okay. And I'll book. Terms and conditions. This is just basically how we're going to handle refunds, as they're going to be under emergency situations. Like, let's say you booked 10 lessons for piano and you broke your arm. You can't do piano for 10 weeks. Okay, but in most cases, the providers choose to credit a family member or push it to the next season. We're trying to find the balance of making sure that that when people book and pay for something, that they don't just quickly uncommit to that as well. Okay. All right. It'll take you to a confirm page just to make sure that it's accurate, and then pay. Okay. So you can do this from home if you want. It'll take you right to the pay for it site, and then we'll go from there. Questions?
Those are two kids in the same year. What happens if you have a K1 where the time slot is different? Is it now going to separate them out? And you can book all three kids in different grades at the same time? Because that's what didn't happen last year, which meant older kids got preference over younger kids.
Good question. All your kids will pop up under your screen.
Okay.
So you'll be able to register them all at one time. Yeah.
Including the K1?
Including the K1. So basically, when we open this container, we're in the process of, how many events do you think we do a week here on ASD? If you had to guess, through Campus Rec. 100, 200, 300, 400? You just had to guess?
Events, you mean like sports events? What do you mean?
Yeah, all events, music lessons, GoPro football lessons so all of our programs, 390 a week, okay? So 370 are paid and 20 are free. That is a concern to me, okay? That's a huge concern to me. So one of my challenges is to grow the free inclusive programs here at ASD. In order to do that, I need help. I need people, I need teachers to go to those sessions after school and offer their time to give back to our kids and students in line with our mission statement. I'll get back to this at the end, okay? But this is something that I'm constantly trying to look at sustainable solutions to create inclusive and free opportunities for our students at ASD. It used to be, to my knowledge, I did some research on this, more free programs. And then what happened was the provider wave, the payments, the lessons, this whole thing. And like in Dubai fashion, the pay per play took off. And if you weren't paying for a service, then if it was free, it wasn't good. And in order to get a good program, you got to pay for it. And so now all the community members started to pay and book lessons. We also wanted to help the community because a lot of people were driving all around Dubai to get a private lesson. And we said, hey, what's up with that? Let's try to bring lessons actually to ASD to make it a little bit more convenient for families. So as I'm kind of managing these programs, I'm looking at it from afar and I'm saying, time out, the dynamics here are a little bit off. How can we help grow the free programs? So there's a feedback form at the end, and there's some questions specifically geared to that. And so at the end, if you could provide me with some feedback on maybe some of your ideas for sustainable adjustments, that would be awesome, because those are some different things that I'm considering as we grow. All right, so let's go back to our presentation. Any other questions on booking and paying? Yes?
I wasn't very clear about why you would want to book one lesson, for example.
Okay, good question. So sometimes a family likes to try out something.
Oh, so that's not allowed?
Well, if you try it out, you'd have to pay.
Yeah.
Unless the provider has said, look, this one's on us. So basketball, for example, they're new, and they're saying they wanted to give one free lesson to the family to see if they liked it. I'm not going to say don't do that. I think that's a nice thing. And so they can do that if they want. But if somebody comes in the middle of the year, for example, another provider might say, you know what, we don't do free lessons. And so then there's an option to book only one.
And the one free session, the one session that we're able to book, is that dated? I didn't pay attention. So they're all dated. So you know exactly which day you're picking for that one lesson.
Yep. And after you book, so here, if it doesn't have a range, then you're booking just for one. Okay, and it's dated here January 6th, 3:30 to 4. And the fees apply, so you'll see how much it costs over here as well. It's good questions. From the phone, again, it's going to look a little bit different, and I highly recommend you use the group option to sort through, because otherwise this screen is going to it's going to go on and on and on and on to find your programs, okay? But it's the same thing. You select here, and then a lot of people are like, where do I book? Where do I book? I just clicked and it doesn't give me the option to confirm. You have to go all the way to the bottom or to the top to book. Okay? So a lot of parents were coming in and showing me their phone, and they said, look, I click book, but it wouldn't let me go to the next screen. And then we just had to help get them to the bottom or to the top. Let's move on. All right, preference-based container. This one is what most other schools are using as well. So in the past, we all have been part of a sign-up process where we really want to get our kids in those activities. And so people, let's say the activity opens at 6 p.m., you're waiting by that computer screen, waiting, and as soon as it opens, you go like crazy to get those kids in. And if you miss that time, it's stressful building up. You wonder if you're going to get in or not. The preference-based takes away some of that. Okay, it takes away some of that competition. It takes away some of that stress. So it's not time-stamped. It's a preference-based. So whether you book at the opening, the very beginning of the registration process, or the very last day, you have the exact same chance to get in as anyone else. Okay. So for internal programs, these are after-school rec programs. Those ones, it doesn't matter when you register. You have the same chance to get in those activities. Okay. And this is important because the school's adjusting probably for, if anybody has any middle school pursuits, are going to be similar, and flex block in the high school. Okay. So there's two different programs. They're actually middle school office is asking me how to set up this thing, so I'm trying to filter these requests to make sure that campus rec is set up first. Okay. We choose this model because it's fair, basically, and it's a relaxed process. So everyone has the same chance to get in their activities, and it diversifies the opportunities amongst our community.
Does it give you a chance to know, like, if it's, 40 people signed up and only 20 can fit, that you may have 2 then classes running?
Yeah, so we look, that's a great question. Like that happened for Minecraft this year. We had 37 people request for 20 spots, and rollerblading was another one. We had 55 requests for 30 spots. Okay, so 55 for 30, like 2 to 1, what you're suggesting, we had a choice to make. We can tell 25 people, families, sorry, you're not getting in. Or we can break it up into 2 classes. Okay. Obviously, with the internal programs, our job is to kind of introduce and promote and instill and guide these free programs. So we chose option 2. We said 55 people welcome, but we're only going to be able to give each family 30 minutes instead of 1 hour. And so we created more opportunities for kids. And as soon as we did that, people on my door, why is our time cut in half? Right away. Last year was an hour. Why is our time cut in half? This is terrible. I said, well, listen, here's how this happened. And I tried to educate, stay patient. We can either have 0 minutes or 30 minutes. And we chose to give everyone a chance. Okay? So if that happens, we look at diversifying the opportunities. Okay? But with that being said, if we could find another teacher to create an hour program, then we go from there. We've made adjustments for season 2 for rollerblading because there was such a huge need that we're going to have 2 classes this next year. So we're going to give everybody more time.
You don't think people are doing rollerblading because there's nothing else? I mean, to be fair, like, you know what I mean? There's not a lot of other opportunities for kids to do something.
Absolutely. I think that's the number one problem is we need to have more opportunities. I think that's the variable that is known, and that's what we're trying to grow.
Right.
Okay. But that takes time.
I'm just saying, not instead of doing 2 rollerblading, it'd be nice to have rollerblading and something else.
Right.
And for the classes that you weren't able to create, to accommodate in term 1, the people who signed up in term 1 and didn't get a slot, do they get preference for term 2?
Great question. So Minecraft, for example,
Yeah.
we put a filter. So it's a teacher discretion, but we try to create fairness. So those people who got in Minecraft are on a filtered list, and they won't be able to get Minecraft first. Okay? They can still get in Minecraft if those seats aren't filled, but it gives opportunities to everyone else who didn't get in Minecraft first. And then if there's seats available, then we open it up for everyone, including those returning students, if that makes sense. So we set a filter, all the students that are in Minecraft now, okay, they're gonna be waitlisted essentially, okay? And everybody else in the community who didn't get Minecraft will have an opportunity to get in. That's a fair process. If the seats fill, okay, then it's a full section. If it doesn't fill, then we open it up to everyone else.
But that still doesn't give preference to the ones who actually tried to get in and didn't get in.
Right.
You know, because now they're fighting an equal chance with everyone who never registered.
Right, and I think that's where we probably are gonna make the adjustment, because it's, each time you register, everyone has the same chance to get in. So it's not a timestamp where you booked before someone else last time, right? It's, everybody has the same chance to get in each time, but when we ran the algorithm and allocated the sections, however it worked, if it was your second preference or if it was your first preference, okay, then the next season, you're gonna have a better chance to get that.
Okay, can I ask another question based on it?
Yeah.
Because you-
Wait, can we do this? Can we do
Yeah.
them at the very end? Is that
Sure.
okay? They're good questions, and I'm happy to answer them. Okay. All right, so here's how this kind of works. The family makes the choice, and I'll take you through this. You're going to get 5 choices per day, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're hoping that we have more activities to make those choices. You select Minecraft as your first choice. You select rollerblading as your second choice. You select
Are there high school choices? I mean,
chess, okay? So,
That's it.
well, with high school,
why should I not be? 'Cause everything, I already knew when I signed
Yeah.
up
So
that
be-
I will stay and talk at the end, but there aren't really choices.
yeah, so for high schoolers,
But now I'm wondering, because it's always.
so the high school has less programs through Campus Rec. 75% of our programs are for elementary or middle school based,
Yeah.
because the high school has a lot of different opportunities. So they have athletics, they have arts, they have all these opportunities. They're doing 600 opportunities this season in season 2. But with that being said, I think there is a need to grow some free programs, some club-based programs for high school students. So
I'm just wondering, so just to be blunt, sorry, if it's going, so you're helping us sign on and then you're taking questions at the end, right? I
Correct.
mean, so other than rock climbing, and there aren't really high school choices.
not
As
yet,
of now.
not yet,
So
correct.
if I wanted to give feedback, instead of staying, should I send you an email?
Sure.
Okay. Do you mind?
Yeah.
Sorry. I just
Have a good day.
I have deliveries.
All right, have a good day. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
So here's how it works. Family makes choices. The request is made, but you're not in the spot. This is another thing that was different. So you booked, and you got a confirmation of selection email. And I've worked with Gary, the owner of SchoolsBuddy, to say this is very confusing. As soon as the family gets a confirmation of something, they think they're in. And actually, you're not in yet. You've just made the selection. Okay, so that was a huge thing that we needed to educate our community about. So they've changed the wording of that, and they've actually put in the email, you are not enrolled yet. And so, but people have to read, and I get it. Like, you look at the subject line and you look quickly, and boom, it's done. Okay, so I'll show you what the current email looks like in a minute, the new example as we go. Okay. After the selections have been made, we run, so next season, January 6th through 9th, the signups are going to be open for internal programs. You'll have 3 days. You can sign up anytime during that, 6th through 9th. We close the registration at 11:59 p.m. on the 9th. On Thursday, the 10th, we're going to allocate. Okay? So we allocate. You'll get a confirmation of selection email as soon as you make your choices. And then on the 10th, you'll get a confirmation of enrollment email saying that you're in the activities or not. Okay?
Sorry, when family is signing up, they supposed to put the pin, yes?
Correct.
So, if the family sign up and put the pin, how they can be out of this activity if they don't?
This is a different container option. So in the book and pay, in this option here, when you make your payment, you're in. You don't have to wait.
This is for the providers who is coming to the school from outside.
Correct.
And the other option, this is for the free activity?
Correct.
Okay, can I understand where I can find the information about
It's on SchoolsBuddy, and it's on our Campus Rec webpage. I'll show you in a minute, all the activities that are available for those kids.
So I have to research for the preference-based activity.
If you want free programs.
Yeah, because I don't get what exactly they, like kids bringing some information from time to time about class. But I never found myself the information where we can exactly see clearly all that.
It's a good point. There's different parts to that question. So I'm not in charge of all the high school activities. There's a service learning coordinator, the high school administration. So there's a lot of,
Middle school, let's talk about middle
same thing, okay?
Same thing.
Yeah, there's a
So
lot.
in any department, like high school or middle school, will be person who is responsible for that.
Well, it depends on what activities you're talking about. If you're talking about service learning opportunities like SENA or the jumbo sale or different activities that happen during the school day, then I'm not in charge of those activities. If it happens after school, like rock climbing or Minecraft or iMovie animation or these types of things, then that is under me. Okay. Some service learning, I know that's a bit confusing. Some service learning clubs also happen after school. Okay.
Yeah, but it is different. We are talking right now about activities like music and sport.
Right.
And the service learning is completely different. It's like when kids volunteering there, they are not taking lessons. For me, it's like
So your question is related to, I think your first question was, if you book and pay,
yeah.
you're in.
So there is no filter.
There's no,
Filter appearing when it is free activity.
correct.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. All right. And then we go. So here's another question, oversubscribed user request, which was asked earlier. So how does it work when there's an oversubscribed user request? Okay. With Minecraft, 37 people booked, 20 seats available. It calculates, it runs an algorithm. Those people who select Minecraft as their first choice, it runs an algorithm and filters those first choices first, and then the people who select Minecraft as their second choice, then it goes from there. If there's an oversubscribed, if 25 people select for 20 seats, it's a random selection of those 25 first choices. So Minecraft, for example, 25 people chose Minecraft as their first choice. There's only 20 spots. How does it work? It's not first come, first serve, it's random. Okay?
Please, I can't wait till the end because it's about this. I don't think it's fair because if one person selects 2 choices and another person selects 5 choices, my daughter selected Minecraft as her first, but I had inputted 4 choices versus other people who selected Minecraft as their first, but they inputted 2. They have a 50% chance of getting in. I have a 25% chance of getting in. So I think to really make it fair, you need to make sure that everyone has to select either 4. Do you know what I mean? Because the probability, if you're just thinking math and algorithm, someone who selects 4 and Minecraft is their first is not going to get in to their first choice. In the beginning, you had told me earlier in the year that 92%, or I don't know how many, 90-something% of students who selected something as their first or second choice will get in. My daughter didn't get into either first or second. She got into third and fourth because it wasn't an equal pool. Because some people were selecting 2 choices and some people were filling out all 5. I thought you had to fill all 5.
Right.
So my first and second, I didn't get them.
Right.
So what I'd really like is for you to implement a way where everyone inputs 5, or you adjust the algorithm for it to really select 1 and 2 for everybody, whether they chose 5 or 2, and then move on to options 3, 4, 5 for those who did choose 3, 4, 5. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because mathematically it doesn't work.
well, I think there's parts of it because, and Robert, Joe can maybe help me, everyone who selects their first choice, when it runs the algorithm, it only runs for that 1. Okay, it hasn't looked at 2, 3, 4, or 5 yet.
But then how do you explain that we didn't get any of our first, second, or third? I got my 4th and 5th choices.
Right. So what it did is it ran the algorithm, and then it gave you 2 activities instead of none. So one of the things that was happening a lot in the past was when it's first come, first serve, somebody would get 5 activities, right? They would be by the computer and they'd book. And now 2 working families couldn't attend the sign-up process and their kids missed out and got 0. So one family has 5 activities and one family has 0. And so what this does is it essentially you got 2 activities and you gave those opportunities to somebody else, which is quite nice.
I'm basically one of the 10% of people who didn't get their first and second choice.
And that's
So this next coming term, I'm only putting 1 choice.
it's risky.
Like, both ways it's risky. If you're talking math and, you know, that
So-
it's going to be a fair selection, it's not fair unless everybody is forced to choose 4 options. For
Right.
example,
I see what, I
You know
understand.
what I mean?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but the problem is, it's gonna be hard to make people choose 4 choices if they don't want to.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the hard part, but it's again, good feedback. It's-
So I think the best way is to contact the SchoolsBuddy,
Yeah.
you know, algorithm people.
Yeah.
And to tell them that when they're choosing their first preferences, that the pool needs to be everybody's 1 and 2 first, before they move on to option 3, 4, 5.
Right.
If you really want it to be fair. Because otherwise, mathematically, it is completely unfair and not preference-based.
It is, but if you would have got 1 and 2 and missed 3, 4, and 5, then the conversation would be different. And since we've only tried it once, okay, we don't know how that's gonna work as well.
Yeah, but my point is I filled out 3, 4, 5 in case I don't get 1 and 2. And I
Which is
didn't.
smart, which is-
But no, it's not smart because I missed out on my 1 and 2.
So some people on the other side of it, what's gonna maybe happen next year is you fill out 1 and 2, and you don't get in anything.
Then it's really not fair either
And then
way.
you come in either
I'm not
side.
winning on a preference versus if she entered the first time and didn't get in because now I'm competing in a pool of anyone who didn't get in. I'm not winning in a pool of like whether I chose 1 and 2 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just mathematically, it does not make sense. And I'm not winning on a timestamp basis. You
Right.
know what I mean? So
Right.
I think there really needs to be a core solid, this is fair, if you follow these steps.
Right.
You know, either everybody puts in, you know, a minimum of 3 and know that over 3, you're lessening your chances of getting 1 and 2. Like if you make that clear in an algorithm format and inform people that if you input more than 3, your chances of getting 1 reduced by this much,
But
then it's fair.
It's my understanding from SchoolsBuddy that you're not reducing your chance to get 1 or 2 with however many choices you make.
Plus they're trying to extend
Yeah.
this more, like, or an additional class.
But I understand why you see it that way, because you didn't get 1 and 2 this time, and that makes sense on how you're thinking, but what SchoolsBuddy's telling me is, all the 1s have the same chance, and all the 2s have the same chance, and all the 3s have the same chance, and all the 4s. The best thing to do, actually, is put 5 things down, so you get in a couple activities, and it runs the algorithm based on each 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes?
I think half the issue would be resolved if more teachers committed to at least 1 semester in the year.
Like, you are,
Honestly, I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, like, this isn't free. Like,
you're so right, you're so right. It's a great point.
If everybody committed on the rotation, like, you, in 1 year, you take 1 semester or 1 quarter or whatever, you know?
Awesome. Can you write that feedback as well,
Listen,
please?
I don't have to do that, I just think, like, you know, parents commit to the school and, you know.
Yeah, you're
and
totally
stay
right.
around.
You're totally right. And maybe we can set up a time again, and if we can look at some things so we can understand better. Okay. All right, amending choices, this was another big thing, okay? You've made your selections, but you changed your mind. You want to choose something different. People were really scared to go back and amend because they thought they were going to lose their place in those activities. And actually, when you amend your choices, you still have the same chance as everyone else to get in. Okay? So let's just take a quick look on how to do that, and then we'll move on and open this up. So here's an example of preference-based. This is another thing that happened, and we learned from it. These are the instructions on how a preference-based worked, and the algorithm and that stuff. What happened a lot is people thought it was time-stamped, and I think we did a poor job educating that this one's preference-based, and this is how preference-based work, and this is a relaxed process. But it basically tells you, explains the process. Nobody read it, right? So they went right into their selections, and they're trying to get in those spots quickly, and then they go. So these are the free programs for K2, okay? And these aren't all of them, but these are some of them. And here's how it would work. So it shows you by the day of the week which programs are free. What we wanted to do was we wanted to put all of the activities in one container so that you would see a drop-down by day of the week. Because what the feedback we got from most families was, we look at our week, I have learned to swim. Swimming's my first option, and I want to make sure I get swimming first. Okay, well, the learn to swim takes money, and internal programs don't. Okay, so there's two different container setups. So learn to swim has a separate container, and internal programs have a different one. So in this one, you're only going to see the free programs. Eddie and Ava, here's your choices. A lot of people thought these were grades. So for example, dance 3 play was Ava's first choice. My niece really wants it, but let's say she was in 4th grade. People were putting that as their 4th choice because they thought that was grade 4. Hey, that makes sense, right? So Ava wants dance 3 play as her first choice, okay? And rollerblading as her first choice. They won't let her choose rollerblading as her first choice because she's already made that, okay? And Eddie, let's go opposite for Eddie. Eddie wants that one, and rollerblading number 1. Okay? It won't let Eddie choose this one because he's already made his first choice. Okay? Now we have this set by day. We can set it by week, the number of choices that you make, or by day. We did by day so that it runs. We're hoping that it gives you more options. Okay? Book, and let's go to the next day of the week here. Here's what it looks like from a mobile phone again. It's very similar to what it was before. You can hide these instructions, and it gives you the choices kind of like this, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to get off of them, you can just hit NA, okay, and then reselect. Okay. Ava wants 1 and 2. Okay. You can save your choices for later, or review them and confirm. It'll give you the second screen to confirm that your choices are accurate, okay, for each kid that you have. And it'll tell you the choices that you made. Preference 1 for Ava is the dance, and preference 2 for Ava on Wednesday is rollerblading. Okay. If we go back and have, like, we want to select different days of the week, my dream is to have way more free programs so that you have like Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you have different choices filled so that your kids can do something healthy and active after school. That's the dream. So let's say we made our Wednesday choices, they'll save, and now we want to choose on Tuesday. There's only one thing on Tuesday, so that'll be our first choice on Tuesday, tag games, K2. And on Sunday, again, we only have one choice right now. Okay. And let's make that this. Review and confirm. So now it shows you the whole week, the choices that you've made here. We go from there, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna make these choices, and then after I book, I'm gonna say, you know what? Ava came to me and said she really doesn't want dance. She wants to do something else, okay?
I think I can explain my problem. I was doing 1, 2, 3, 4, irrelevant of days of the week. I didn't know you can do your first choice to apply for a Sunday and a Tuesday.
Right.
I thought it was
The whole
choice
week.
per activity, not per day.
Okay, so that probably
So that
help.
explains why the probability really went off.
Right, because you were selecting Sunday and
Yes.
putting that as your fourth choice, when it could have been your first
When it
choice.
could have been my first choice on a Sunday and a Tuesday and a Thursday.
Correct.
Got it. So that
Makes more sense.
makes a lot more sense.
Very good. Very good.
So maybe you can write that somewhere, that the preference is not per activity. You can still choose preference 1 for all the days of the week.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
that would really up your... by day versus activity.
Yeah, we can do that. So I made the selections, okay? It sends it to the schools. Okay, it'll take you to a screen here. And this is the email you'll get, okay? Confirmation of selection. And remember, you're not in yet, okay? So this is to confirm that your selections have been made, okay? But you're not in yet, which is a little bit misleading, okay?
Can you maybe take out the word?
Yeah,
We talked to SchoolsBuddy about
Just say your
that.
selection has been made?
yeah,
Just take out the confirm part.
it's good feedback. So that's the request we gave SchoolsBuddy.
Yeah.
Okay, I ran this about 3 weeks ago, and actually Gary came, and we reminded him when he came again. So I did this before he came, so he's looking to make that adjustment for season 2.
I think that was actually the first thing
We told him.
that we talked about was that email.
Because it was confusing for us too. Once we allocate, it looks something like this. Okay. So you'll get confirmation of enrollment, or it'll say you've been enrolled in these activities. The wording probably is going to be a little bit cleaner. Then we can maybe put confirmation here, but the first one, it's not good to put confirmation on. It'll tell you the activities that you're enrolled in, and then it'll say groups not enrolled. Okay. And so we had a couple of families come in, and they came in and showed us the screen, groups not enrolled, and then it was almost like they wanted confirmation, like, what does this mean? They would show me this part. What does this mean for Minecraft? And I'm like, they didn't want to believe what they read, and they wanted their kid in the activity. So they came in and they said, well, actually that means that you didn't get in Minecraft because this is this, this, and this, and this. And then we try to, that's a hard conversation for the kids. Comes back to the point that you made in the back. If we have more opportunities, then more kids are going to be doing things after school. And the aim of this isn't to tell kids, I'm really sorry, Ava, you didn't get in dance, honey. And she's crying. Well, why didn't I get in? She's 5. She doesn't really understand. Well, we run an algorithm, and everyone has, she's not going to get that. She is just not happy she didn't get in dance. And so I get that, and the solution is to provide more opportunities for our kids. So, amending choices. Okay. I've made the choices, but I haven't been allocated yet. Okay, a day goes by, and my kid comes up to me, or my niece comes up to me and says, Uncle Mark, I don't want to do dance. I want to get rollerblading. All my friends are in rollerblading. I want rollerblading. Okay, Ava, let's go back and make new selections. Okay? So, review. Okay? This button's here. It'll show you review your choices. You've sent the request to the school, but you want to change. Okay. Let's go back. Those are the selections we made. What is going on here? Review. Okay. And we want to make choices. Review and send to school. So there should be a button here. I think I have a filter. Let me just check something real quick. I think in my container I have I think I've limited the sign up for preference-based. So that I only let people select one time, so once they make their selection, then they're in. But there's a way to amend choices, and I think it's important for you guys to know how to amend your choices. Sorry for this, you guys. Post allocation, join request, hide activity date range. Okay. Save. And this is test 3. See, join requests are off, so we need to make sure that they're on. Sorry about that. Okay, so you can see now this button will appear, Amend Choices. So a day goes by and Ava wants to choose something different. Okay, now it's going to take you out of those classes that you've booked, and everybody was super scared to do that because they thought they were going to lose their chance. Confirm that you're pulling them, all your choices are out, and then you re-choose. Okay, so we come back, and we want Ava doesn't want dance anymore. She wants rollerblading. Okay, so that was her first choice. Now I'm going to take her out of it, put her in second choice, and make rollerblading Ava's first choice. Okay, no problem. You have the same exact chance to get in. Okay, so that's the nice flexibility that you have with preference-based, because sometimes those situations do actually happen. Okay, quite often. And then you review and confirm. Okay, you can save for later, but be careful with that because some people save for later and they forget to send. So I would personally just send it in, make sure that it's got that you've sent it, and then if you go back, you can go back and amend those choices. Okay. All right. Okay, so before we open it up for a little Q&A, and there's a feedback form that I'm going to ask you guys if you're willing to fill out, that would help. First season, it was super confusing. I'll be the first one to admit it. The registration process was different. For ASRPs, signups were at one time. Learn to Swim, signups were another time. Paid programs, sign up another time. 3 different sign-up windows, confusing. 3 different start dates, confusing. So what adjustment we've made for season 2 is all of the activities are going to sign up the same week. And we're hoping that in the future that basically the first week back is a sign-up week, and the second week back we start activities. Okay, so we've made that adjustment for season 2 already, and because it's online based, we felt 3 days was enough to register the kids. And what we found in the first run of this, that most of the sign-ups happened within the first 2 days. Nobody really went on days 4 and 5. They were done. They were done by day 2 because our community. Okay, on the 10th, just be patient, and you can help educate people who ask. I made my selection. Those couple days, I understand there'll be some anxiousness, but on the 10th, then we're going to allocate on those sections. Okay, so you'll have the weekend to kind of adjust, and then on the 13th, activities will begin. Activities will begin for all of our programs, internal, external, and I believe Learn to Swim. Yes. Okay. All right. Another adjustment we've made for season 2 is we're not going to have an expo. We're going to do online sign-up help sessions via SchoolsBuddy and E118 every day of the week from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. So if people want to come in and book activities, what we found in the past, and this was kind of what Mark Needs suggested, that season 2 and 3 expo were not relevant really. Season 1 expo, yeah, let's do it. Educate the community, meet the providers, sign up and go. Season 2 and 3, most of the families, they know what they want. Okay? And also everything is kind of going more online. So we're going to try to do a better job of showing what's available for next season. Like, for example, season 2, ASRPs, they're already online on SchoolsBuddy. You can go online and look for your kids. If you register, you can look and see what's available for your kids, but you can't select yet. There'll just be a little X over the selection part. Okay? And we're trying to do that. We're trying to do that a month. A month in advance, so that you guys have ample time to prepare. Okay. In the spring, we're looking to make an announcement to align our schedules, our Learn to Swim schedules, and our ASRP schedules, so that if you're in the second session of Learn to Swim that starts at 4:15 or 4:10, that you could take an ASRP first or a music lesson, and then get to your swim lesson without having to leave something early, without being double booked. Okay, so we're probably looking at making an announcement in the spring so that all the community has ample time to adjust, so that next season, 2019-20, next year, excuse me, the schedules and times are going to be aligned. Okay, we don't want to switch days of the week right now. We don't want to change a Learn to Swim day of the week right now because the dynamics will really throw families off. People are busy in Dubai, and people have scheduled basically their whole life around these activities. and the days of the week, and now we're going to change something mid-year, that's going to mess some people up because their music lesson's on Sunday and their swim is on Tuesday and this is on this day, and now we're going to change learn to swim to Sunday. It wouldn't be good.
Do you mean because Learn to Swim starts at odd times, like on the 15 and
Yeah.
the 45
Correct.
versus on the hour and
Correct.
half hour?
So we're looking at blocking all after-school activities together.
Yeah, that'd be
To
great.
get more.
Yeah. And that's the goal, is to provide more opportunity and to give more time in the pool.
Okay.
Okay, so, yes.
So just on the same breath, the question, because is it fair to say Learn to Swim is probably one of the most popular programs?
Yes,
And Sunday and Tuesday tends to be the choice of parents.
yes.
So when you look at scheduling, because that's one of, well, not my main point, but being a K-12 mom, like, you don't get soccer with swim. You
Right.
just get it there on Saturday and you don't want to come to school.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't want to see that car park again. So,
You're right.
do you keep in mind,
Deliberate scheduling.
like the scheduling?
We-
And if you want another soccer, team, I mean, I'm sure there's some.
So, to be honest, we looked at that and we were going to make that adjustment for season 2.
Already. So
We
next
were.
term we
Well,
would.
no, we were going to.
But we understood that
Right.
moving Learn to Swim day of the week could really impact a lot of things. It's not
Don't look enthusiastic.
Not yet, but next year, we've looked at deliberate scheduling so that, for example, on Tuesdays, it's the 4 most popular activities: Taekwondo,
Yes.
Go Pro football, soccer,
Yeah.
Learn to Swim, gymnastics,
Exactly.
and tennis.
Exactly.
And you got to choose. So we've tried to break up that monster
Perfect.
and spread them out a little bit. There are some limitations. Gymnastics can only get the elementary school gym on Tuesday. Okay? So that's the time where that space is available. They need to be in there. Asking Taekwondo to move after they've been here for 11 days, she has a complete schedule where she's here 1 day a week and then she's at her facility another day of the week. That's going to be a difficult thing for her to adjust to. Okay, I'm going to ask, because I'm looking out for our community, and see what she says. But Learn to Swim is internal, and the pool is open on different days of the week. So Learn to Swim can move.
Got it.
Okay? But if we move it mid-year,
No, absolutely. You agree with that?
and then,
Days
you know.
Learn to Swim.
yeah, and
That's it.
that could be a feedback there. So more days, I'm not sure what Robert Joe would
Like
think.
Monday usually.
I'm just saying, like, if you're not being flexible for those families who are already established families who I didn't sign up because it basically blew the whole schedule for any of
Right.
3 kids.
Right.
So trying to figure out, it's impossible if you do swimming or tennis to do anything else.
Right, right.
So,
Right.
Especially level 1.
And this is the feedback that we want. And I'm going to put this link on our Campus Rec webpage as well. And I'm going to I have some data about opportunities, like 390 programs, 370 are free, are paid, and 20 are free. The dynamics are a little off. Okay, we need to get more free programs. I have to work with administration and work through some systems to make sure that it's mandatory that teachers give back that after-school activity time.
but to be honest, at this point, I'd even be happier to pay for other activities but have more choices.
Right, more choices.
If you're, the teacher battle is gonna take a long time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
like opening more swim days would be great, another soccer day would be great.
yeah, that's good. So, for example, for K2, and in the second season, we can do a little bit more because the weather is much nicer. So, I guess from an internal program standpoint, the elementary school gym should have healthy, active opportunities. I'm also mindful that I want to grow the STEM options, maker, builder, iMovie animation. But it's just, we need people to run those. Right? We need people to run those. So that's my challenge. I'm going around asking, and it's a difficult sell here. So on the other side of it, the paid programs, looking to offer more of those. Although I don't think that's a sustainable solution as we go, because we want to do more free. But for what we have right now, it might be a quicker fix, if you will.
Are you accepting parents now? Because last year they weren't. I mean, if you have parent volunteers to come and run some clubs.
So if Roger Federer wants to come and do a free tennis program, we can't tell him no, right?
It's starting to.
If the school, to my knowledge, it used to do more parents. They used to call it the ASPA program, After School Parent Association, and they used to do basically all of these activities, okay? And there was a robust program. But then what happened was, the 10 parents that actually are passionate about this would do everything, and it just wore them out. And it was too much to ask of parents. So then the school kind of went away from that and said, no more parents, we're going to do it internal. And now we're at a crossroads. We need more opportunities. The teachers are busy. Until those contractual obligations change, then we're going to have to find other ways to provide opportunities. So to answer your question, in short, it's no to start, and unless there's a super qualified person or something very passionate. Let's say, what's a good example? Well, Roger Federer is an easy one, but let's say you're.
So let's say you're a really crafty parent and
Yeah.
are very good with your hands, and it's what you do in all your spare time, and it's easy to implement that onto children. Is that something that
We can set up a meeting. We can set up a meeting and talk. There's some vetting processes that are consistent. Like we would take you through our child protection training sessions, and those types of things. So if you are super passionate, let's set up a time to talk. I can't guarantee it, but I would certainly welcome the conversation. So if you just bring your camera up and hold it over the QR code, it'll take you to the form, excuse me. And we're just about out of time. And you can put all your feedback there. And what we'll do is we'll look at that feedback and we'll actually maybe respond to some of it in a frequently asked questions doc. Should pop up. There is one setting on your phone that might take it to an Arabic setting and you have to switch it to English. So I apologize for that in advance.
Yeah.
Are we doing questions?
A few questions and then we'll
Okay.
keep going.
For the instant book and pay sessions,
Yeah.
are you gonna, is there a priority for attorney students, or will you set a couple
Have a
of
good day.
days early?
See you.